What was your first thought on when you booked Pair of Kings?
What was my first thought when I booked Pair of Kings? You know, really, I was really thinking that the competition that I was faced with was going to get the job because I hadn't had any experience in television. I hadn't had any experience with blocking and all these sort of things that, you know, people who are in the industry who know all about TV, sitcom, satire, all the terminologies and things like that. I thought surely that they would hire the other guy.
Okay. What is it like working with the cast?
You know, working with this cast I really don't know. I don't really have anything to compare it to. You know, so it's like, in my experience in this business, it's always been the first experience has always been the charmed experience. My first experience was Lion King was amazing. It was my first theater experience, and so it was like I thought all shows just run forever, you know, but that's not the case, you know. And so my first experience with TV has been Pair of Kings, and it's the charmed experience because there's no animosity on set, there's no strife between the cast members, there's no ego, who's going to tell the joke, who's going to be the butt of the joke. I mean, for example, Kelsey plays Michaela. She wins battles against her father, Mason. I mean, you know, is my ego hurt by it? No, I don't really. It's not an issue, you know. You know, Boomer and Brady make a fool out of Mason. You know, a couple of times. Lanny last season humiliated Mason, so it's really not an issue of ego or anything like that. And I think that sort of feeling permeates through the cast.
Is there any pranks on set?
Are there any pranks on set? Of course there are pranks on set. I mean, everybody's playing jokes on everybody most of the time. But I mean, when it's time to get serious, you know, the director says action, and bam, we're into the scene.
Who has been the best prank?
The best prank was last year's April Fool. Because our dynamic is so as a cast is so caring, loving, and family oriented. Doc and Mitchell pretended to have a fight on set in the middle of a scene, and Mitchell gets up and walks away and says, "All right, you know, Geno, Kelsey, Ryan, over here, we need to have a meeting really quickly," and left Doc. And Doc was standing there by himself saying, "Man, I don't know why y'all acting like a little girl." You know, it was like serious, you know, and it was the first time, you know, and I, you know, my initial instinct was to go to Mitchell and say, "Look, dude, calm down," you know, because I didn't know how to take it, because I knew I could go at Doc, but I didn't know if I could go at Mitchell yet, because I just met Mitchell, you know, I didn't really know him like I knew Doc, you know what I mean, and I knew I could like sort of corral Ryan, or I could say something to Kelsey, but I didn't really know Mitchell, so I was like, okay, I gotta really tread on this a little bit lightly because I don't know how I'm gonna handle this, but I'm not gonna let him jack up our gig. You know what I'm saying? Dude, you're not jacking up our gig, but it was a good joke. It was really good. He got everybody. Yeah.
Would you say you're anything like your character, Mason?
Would I say I'm anything like Mason? Yes, I would. Yes, I'm very protective. I'm very I'm very protective, and I'm very stern when it comes to certain things. When I know I'm right, I'm stern on my right. I mean, you know what I mean? But like Mason, when Mason is wrong, he admits that he's wrong. So yeah, I mean, I'm the first to admit I'm wrong. So there are a lot of things. There are a few things that I wouldn't do that Mason might do. You know, but for the most part, I think that Mason and I are very similar.
What can we expect in season 2?
You can expect in season 2 the same thing you got in season 1, except it's going to be funnier. I mean, some of the stuff that we've done thus far, it's just been gut-wrenching. I mean, it's hard to even complete the scene. sometimes, I mean, it's just really funny. It's just some of the writing is just so clever, and the first episode of the second season has been said to be episode 22, because we had 21 episodes the first season, and the first episode of the second season has been called episode 22 because we just didn't miss a beat. We just went right into, the characters, and it was just seamless, really seamless.
If you could be the king of anything, what would you want to be the king of?
If I could be the king of anything, I would like to be the king of my own, probably country the size of Florida. I want my own little country the size of Florida, and I would make a law that there'd be no income taxes. There'd be no income taxes, and every person in the world want to come and live in my country. And then the government would not be. It wouldn't be like that type of. Those type of taxes, like the current income taxes. I would abolish income taxes, and the only thing that you would pay tax on is goods that you buy. And so our country would then be based on, a tax system that was a fair tax system. Because if you spend, you pay tax. If you don't spend, you can save your money.
Good. Do you ever get nervous before a live taping?
I get nervous before this interview. I'm nervous now. Can't you see me shaking? Anytime a camera's on, I'm nervous.
Really?
You better tell somebody if you don't know. I'm nervous every time the camera's on. Every time. But I think that, some people deal with it differently, Some people have the ability to just, the camera's on, but it's okay. I'm not going to look directly at it. I'm going to talk to this person and just really just tune it out. Yeah, I get nervous every time the camera's on. Every time.
Okay. Do you have any rituals before a live taping?
Rituals? No, I wouldn't say rituals, but I have a daily ritual. I do the same things every day. I do a light vocal warm up in the morning. I do, I have a jump rope in my room. I come in early. I always come in early and I always jump rope or do some calisthenics or train or something like that. I gotta stay in shape, And I'm almost, in line with the rest of the class. I'm supposed to be a big guy, but I feel like I'm huge sometimes. I look at the monitor, I'm like, I'm really not that big, but I feel huge. A guy told me the other day at the premiere of Mars Needs Mom. He says, man, he looks bigger on TV. I was like, dude, I'm playing opposite a bunch of 130-pound kids. What do you expect? Of course I look bigger on TV, They're all 130 pounds. 120 pounds. Kelsey's, she can't be 100 pounds. It's like, yeah, I look huge, so I got to maintain that. I got to maintain where I'm at. If I don't, I'm going to look huger, which is not a good look, I don't think.
Do you have any projects besides cooking?
I have some projects that I'm working on that are my own projects that I'm trying to produce. I am still in the infant stages of some of those projects. I want to go into producing, executive producing, and I don't necessarily want to get out from in front of the camera, but I would like my own product out there eventually.
So we saw pictures of you playing the guitar. Do you mind playing a song?
You want me to play you a song?
Yeah.
That wasn't part of the deal. You want me to play you no song?
You don't have to.
You got the camera on. You want me to play you a song?
Okay, we can turn the camera off.
Golly, man.